US at Tehran nagkasundo sa ceasefire? What do you expect when you bomb a country with military might and resilience to match it, unprompted as the bully at police pang kalawakan kasi siga-sigaan ka sa rehiyong hindi ka welcome?
What's your backup plan if there's no field opens?
You don't need a backup plan. We have the military is defeated. Their military is gone. They have, we've degraded just about everything. They have very few missiles. They have very little manufacturing capability. We've hit them hard. Our military is amazing, the job they've done.
Trump began the war by telling Iranians the hour of your freedom is at hand, and they had the only chance for generations to get rid of the Islamic Republic.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
But as the ceasefire begins, the Iranian regime is still in power, having survived over 13,000 airstrikes in a combined onslaught from America and Israel. During the war, Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz to all tankers from enemy countries and charged others $2 million for every passage. If Iran carries on charging, running a toll booth for tankers, then it could use this new source of cash to rebuild its missiles and perhaps even the nuclear plants that were destroyed in the previous war last year. So Trump is going to need a watertight peace deal that prevents Iran from restoring its lost capabilities. If he doesn't get one, then it's possible that because of its new control of the strait, Iran's regime will come out of this war stronger than it was before.
Nang matapos ang ilang deadline ni Trump na hindi pinansin ng Iran,
We're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
Earlier this week, President Trump claimed, quote, total and complete victory over Iran. 100%, no question about it, he said. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth added, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield, a capital V military victory. Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. But are Trump and Hegseth right to claim victory for themselves? If it's truly a victory, why is Iran in at least partial control of the Strait of Hormuz? And why are the anti-American theocrats who have been in charge of Iran for 47 years still in charge?
kasama na ang pag-post ni Trump ng mga planong war crimes na gagawin niya raw sa mga sibilyan laban sa Iran kung hindi ito papayag sa ceasefire.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again.
What the president is doing is threatening war crimes, and the American people already recognize that this illegal war of choice is a big mistake.
Kasama na yung paghingi ng tulong ng US sa mga kakampi nito, which fell on deaf ears.
They'll never be there for us. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO to defend other countries. NATO's making a very foolish mistake. I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. We don't need them, but they should have been there. We're very disappointed, I'll say it publicly, we're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing. This was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us, you don't have to, but if you don't have, if you don't do that, we're going to remember. I think a tremendous mistake was when NATO just wasn't there. Why would we be there for them if they're not there for us? They weren't there for us. I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO. They're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, I've always said NATO's a paper tiger.
Kasama mo pa yung pagka-convert ni Trump sa pagka-Muslim by saying, Praise be Allah on Easter at 3 a.m. in the morning para lang sabihin sa Iran sa kanyang social media page na if they don't open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, a civilization will essentially die.
Another post on Truth Social by President Trump saying a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will.
Nagkasundo na sa 2-week ceasefire ang Iran at US para payagan ang mga barko na makadaan sa Strait of Hormuz without fear of getting bombed by Iran.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Pero alam naman natin na kahit na gano'n na mangyari, matatakot pa rin yung mga ships na dumaan sa Strait of Hormuz. Nawalam naman natin na isa, if not the only reason the US strike Iran ay simple lang. Trump is in the Epstein files. Kaya nga laging interes ng Israel ang sinusunod niya. Baka mamaya kasi, binablackmail siya ni Bibi Netanyahu, ang Prime Minister ng Israel. Kumbaga, nagiging sunod-sunuran ang US sa wisyo ng Israel.
If we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Alam din natin na itong Israel ay talagang walang nuclear weapon. Wink wink. Kaya pinoproject na, si Iran ang may nuclear weapons, hindi kami, at malapit na nilang mabuo yun in less than 3 months, 6 months at max. Na sinasabi na ni Bibi Netanyahu since the 1990s, so give or take 30 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly. If they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 months.
Basically, ganito ang nangyari sa sigalot sa gitnang silangan. Gusto ni Trump, aka Netanyahu, na magkaroon ng regime change sa Iran na pinamamahalaan ng Ayatollah, pero ayaw rin nila mag-deploy ng US troops sa Iran para sa isang invasion. Kasi nga natatakot pa rin si Trump na, again, hindi na nga siya popular na presidente tapos gagawa pa siya ng panibagong gera. Ang gusto ni Trump, magkaroon ng kudeta o revolusyon without ground troops. Pwede sana kasi marami talagang gustong paalisin yung Ayatollah. Pwede sana. Kaso yung mga magsistage sana ng revolusyon, binobomba ng US. So, sino sa tingin mo ang iisipin nilang kalaban nila? E di yung bumobomba sa mga ospital, mga tulay, at sa mga eskwelahan ng kabataan. Siyempre, yun yung kakalaban nila, yun yung nasa isip nilang kalaban nila, hindi yung Ayatollah, hindi yung gobyerno ng Iran. Kasi nga, binobomba mo. Imbes na tulungan mo, binobomba mo sila. Alam din natin na open ang Strait of Hormuz noon pa. Pero dahil sa art of the deal ni Mr. Trump sa ceasefire deal, bubuksan niya uli yung Strait of Hormuz na dating nakabukas na. Ibig sabihin parang walang nagbago. Bago nila bombahin at patayin yung leader ng Iran. Kumbaga, they are back on where they were. Ang gusto nila, regime change. Pero ngayon, nagmamakaawa sila sa Iran na, Iran, please, masyado nang mataas yung presyo ng krudo. Please lang, buksan mo yung Strait of Hormuz, which was originally open to the public. Wala nga ginagawa yung Iran para kalabanin o maglagay man lang ng toll sa Strait of Hormuz kahit na kaya nilang gawin yun. Pero hindi eh. Binomba mo sila. So of course, they will retaliate against your allies sa rehiyon kung saan nakalagay yung mga US bases mo. Parang hindi na masyadong natutuwa yung mga merong US bases tulad ng Saudi, ng Qatar at ng kung ano-ano pang bansa kasi nga hindi mo sila maprotektahan sa ganoong threat. Pero ang Israel, kahit na may ceasefire ang US at Iran, hindi tumitigil sa paglusob sa Lebanon. Pero what do you expect from a country na nagva-violate ng ceasefire agreement within their borders at ngayon between their allies 1,000 times over in a single period? Bukod sa genocide sa Gaza Strip, Israel violates ceasefire agreements on the daily basis. Hindi ka na talaga magugulat sa mga yan kasi nga again and again and again.
Ang video clip na ito ay galing sa aking series ng News and Worthy Recap. Check the entire videos for the complete weekly news recap and subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date sa mga local at global news na I'll make sure will be interesting to you. Particularly you, whatever your name is. Hindi ko alam, sorry. Salamat sa panonood mga ka-farmy. Like, subscribe, follow me like sa socials and avoid Joseph that will be linked down below. So susunod of course. Paalam.